We've made it. You've made it. We've done it. We've made it to week 1 of the 2024 NFL season. Give it up for you. And give it up for you. And give it up for me. I'm your host, Dominic, and this is my co-host, Chris. We are brothers, but this is the Northern Steel Podcast, and this is episode 77. Name that player, Chris.
I'm going to have to go with the classic, Mr. Marvell Smith.
Ooh, Marvell. I'm going to have to go with Broderick Jones. Bench player, Broderick Jones.
Classic.
Welcome back to the podcast. It is week 1 of the NFL season. We are here to talk Steelers football, talk all football, and to catch you up to speed because we didn't do a podcast last week. Last week was cut week. So we're going to talk about the cuts real quick. We're going to talk about the practice squad real quick. We're going to talk about all the news pertaining to the Steelers, including previewing this week's game against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. And we're, like always, Chris and I are going to do our game picks for this week. See where we end up at the end. Boy, it'd be nice to follow through on a punishment for us. We never have so far, but maybe we will this year. Who knows?
This year, Dom, I think the punishment should be legal action. And what I mean by that is whoever loses has to legally change their name to Nick Carnes.
To the full last name? I was going to say, whoever loses gets sued by the other person.
For everything we're worth.
So we'll start back with cut week, first and foremost. During cut week, Steelers lost a lot of players. Let's name them through. I'll name them through quickly. A lot of them that I'm not really too worried about, but, you know, that's just how it goes. We got Kyron Johnson, linebacker, a fan favorite, a crowd favorite, if you will. LaQuay Washington, Jacoby Windman, Marcus Haynes, Zion Gilbert, Thomas Graham, who was fighting for a nickel cornerback spot, Willington Prevalon, Jacob Slade, D lineman, O-lineman Takeem Das, O-lineman Joey Fisher. Obviously, if you saw the Lions last preseason game, which I guess we didn't talk about that either. We can in a second, though. If you saw the preseason game against the Lions, Joey Fisher really ruined it for my boy Plumlee. Speaking of, next on the list is John Rhys Plumlee, cut. Gone too soon. Aaron Shamklin, fullback Jack Coletto, tight end Matt Sokol, tight end Rodney Williams, wide receiver Jeray Jenkins, wide receiver Deuce Watts, wide receiver Des Fitzpatrick, a sad one there. Wide receiver Quez Watkins, running back LaMichael Pirine, Jonathan Ward. Put Ryan Watts and Julian Wolshoff on the reserve injured list, out for the season. Wolshoff having a great preseason. Ryan Watts was becoming a fan favorite, both out for the year. Placed lineman Dylan Cook and Jeremiah Moon on the reserved injured list, they're designated to return, out at least 4 weeks. And placed Cole Holcomb on the reserve PUP list, also out at least 4 weeks. Maybe he comes back. That'd be kind of cool. I thought he might get released. They also released Kyler McMichael. He was awful. Matthew Wright, like always, every year. And Anderson Hardy. They released Keandre Thomas, Marquise Spencer, Kava Tazino, lineman Tyler Beach, lineman Devery Hamilton, running back Dijon Edwards, fan favorite, wide receiver Jacob Copeland. I have gotten some TikToks about him. And wide receiver TJ Luther. That's been on the cut list from there. Please put your hand up by your head for a solitary release salute.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. We also, do you have anything to say about that, Chris?
I was just going to transition over to the practice squad players that we had kept.
All right, Chris, tell the people the practice squad players we kept.
All right, Dom. Well, it was a slug of guys that we kept on the team. So we got 2 running backs with Boston Scott and Jonathan Ward. Jonathan Ward, who I solely thought was going to get that running back 4 spot. All of preseason, I said running back 3, but I keep forgetting that Cordell Patterson is considered a running back. Then Jack Coletto ended up making the practice squad, which makes sense since we really do not have a fullback. You could count Connor Hayward as that position, but he's kind of more like a Swiss Army knife. He goes to tight end a lot. Then we have the most with our wide receiver position, which makes sense, bearing that we do not have a ton of. I don't want to say the word reliable because we have a room with a lot of potential, and I think they could be good, but we just haven't seen enough. George is like the only one who I think we're like, all right, we have our guy, and then the rest are unknowns. But we kept Ben Skowronek. Is that how you say it, Dom? That's the one. Brandon Johnson, and then Quez Watkins gets the nod for the practice squad. Rodney Williams, who we've heard his name a few times in the last few years. Obviously, we just have so many tight ends. Sorry, Rodney, you did not make the cut. Offensive lineman, Doug Nestor, and then a throwback, John LeGlue is on the practice squad. I was surprised to see that name because that's an oldie. Then we have defensive linemen, Jacob Slade, outside linebackers in Marcus Haynes and Ade Ugandeji.
Sure.
Yep. Inside linebackers in Devin Harper, and then cornerbacks in Zion Gilbert, Thomas Graham, who we had heard quite a bit, who's in a little positional battle there, as well as Anthony Everett.
Yep, Anthony Everett.
Yep. So those are the 16 players that made the practice squad.
They had options for players like Tim Patrick, wide receiver. They had options for who's the other receiver? Noah Brown could have been exciting as a receiver just on the practice squad. They did not do that because they were holding out for a one, the only Brandon Ayuk. And it was everlasting. It lasted way too long. We were stuck in a nightmare cycle of, are we going to get Brandon Ayuk or are we not? And this past week, we just found out we are not. He signed with the 49ers, a 4-year, $120 million deal. You could say he used this for leverage. They're saying that Omar Khan knew that he was going to go to do that. But I think we would really put our eggs in one basket for Brandon Ayuk. Didn't work out, and that's unfortunate. But that's the way it goes. So no Brandon Ayuk. Wide receivers are George Pickens and everybody else. But, we haven't seen Roman Wilson play. I think Calvin Austin can be better. Van Jefferson had a good camp. We also don't know how much the tight ends are going to be utilized. We've talked about this before. This is all old news. I know you guys are diehard Northern Steel fans. You listen to every podcast. So this is all old news. We've talked about this before. But not to get Brandon Ayuk is hurtful. So if you want to be realistic, it's time to focus on the players we have. But if you want to be delusional and stay in delusional Yinzer land, your attention should now focus on Devontae Adams. That's who you should focus on now.
And why is that, Dom? Why should we focus as a whole on Devontae Adams?
Well, if you've seen the show Receiver, Chris, show the sequel to Quarterback, where they follow, you guessed it, wide receivers. Well, if you've seen the show, you would know that Devontae Adams is very disgruntled. He does not like it there because the quarterback situation sucks. He went to Las Vegas mostly because hometown stuff, and Derek Carr, his old favorite teammate, was on there, and they shipped off Derek Carr after 1 year with him. Yep, did not last long at all, and he's very unhappy there, and he's playing with Gardner Minshew now. Now, look it. I love Gardner like everybody else. The stash, he's awesome. But if he's starting to, if the Raiders are starting to lose, he wants to win games, and he's not getting the ball thrown to him. If they go 0-2, 0-3, if you want to stay delusional, look out for potentially Devontae Adams. Especially because, Chris, we gained more cap room with breaking news today.
What? How did we do that, Dom?
Well, because we didn't sign Brandon Ayuk, we decided to use that time to finally give Cam Hayward a contract extension. Cam Hayward receiving a 3-year, $45 million contract extension, which includes $29 million in new money and $15 million at signing and $16 million fully guaranteed. Now, Chris, I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not going to pretend I know what that means at all. I don't think the cap is real. The Niners, I thought, had no money, and they signed Trent Williams, and they signed Brandon Ayuk, and they signed Deebo Samuel, and it's like, is money real? Is it all fake? I don't know, Chris. I really don't know. But what I hear from people like Alex Kozora, what I hear from people from Nick Faribaugh, is that this is a good deal. It's a win-win for Cam Hayward, a win-win for the Steelers, because It doesn't lock him in if his play starts to falter. It doesn't hold against the cap. Matter of fact, open up more cap room this year, 17 million more. Or sorry, that's not true. We have 17 million total in cap room space right now. I've heard it's really great numbers for if he starts to falter. It's great if he doesn't start to falter because we have him locked in for 3 years. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody involved. But couldn't be happier for Cam Hayward. I did not want to see him go. I would be sad to see him leave. Does he deserve a ring? Sure he does. But if you want to be delusional like me, why can't it be yes?
Are you asking me?
I like the silence. That was good. I was asking you, but the silence works too. no silence.
It just felt a lot more fitting. I didn't want to boost you up too much.
And no, I agree. But that's I would say after that, Chris, I would say the Pat Freiermuth contract's next, and then staying in delusion land, I'd like to say Najee Harris is after that, but we'll see what happens.
I'd really like to see that one. I mean, Pat Freiermuth, we will see. I think it makes the most sense because it's not like we really have a definitive tight end to follow, and I really don't want to waste a draft pick on a top end tight end. Now, if Darnell Washington starts to go off, maybe they'll be like, you know what, we could have Darnell and then Connor Hayward. But I mean, I think Pat Freiermuth is a solid tight end to keep around. He's a guy that, you'll want to have on your offense, and hopefully we keep him. And then, yeah, like you said, sign Najee, Omar. What the heck, dude? Get on that. Dude's about to rush for 1,000 yards for the 4th year in a row.
There is. Might rush for 1,200, 1,300. Who knows? I hope he does. He's on my fantasy
or
team
900.
like he is every year. No, not 900.
What?
You say 1,900?
Oh, sorry. No. 900 in the first 9 games.
Whoa, that's crazy. 900 in one game. Let's talk about the Steelers and Lions real quick. I will just I'll set up the scene. It's been a while now. But the first drive with Russell Wilson, touchdown. He had a third and long completion to George Pickens on a play action that was a 30-yard pass, and then you had a 30-yard run by Darrell Patterson, which was fun to see. Justin Fields went down and he scored right away as well. Had a nice play action from the middle to a tight end. Did an option play, handed the ball off to running back, untouched into the end zone. Then kind of struggled a little bit with the backup line again. Wasn't able to move the ball as much. Neither did Kyle Allen. John Rose Plumlee did, but the Lions sold, and he was not able to sustain that. Now he's on the Jaguars, which is heartbreaking. But Chris, do you have any? Was there any thoughts from that? I mean, it was nice to see the offense finally get going, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's very promising from that standpoint because, I mean, that's been the biggest question mark this whole time is offense. What the hell are we going to do? Because we were looking pretty atrocious there for a bit. But as we had mentioned before, they're not going to show us all the looks. We don't want to give away too much, especially going up against Arthur Smith's former team. We don't want to look silly in front of them. So we're going to disguise things, only run certain plays, kind of see how they work out. But the fact that we actually executed in those first 2 drives, very, very promising. And then after that, it was just a bunch of Walmart employees playing for funsies. They're going around, tossing the old pigskin around. And if there's one thing that I learned from that game, Dom, it's that the Lions better hope that any of their linemen do not get hurt because, wow, they were so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
And it's also, if we've learned anything from preseason in general, especially after last year, we can't put a lot of stock in a preseason. A lot of people are trying to say that the season's over already, but I don't think we've seen the full arsenal of plays yet, and I hope we haven't. But 3 losses in the preseason, opposite of last year, but so far with the Russ drive, the Justin Fields drive, liked it, but Russell Wilson was named starting quarterback, so bring on the memes. Let's ride. Steeler Nation, let's ride.
I just think we're all going to feel silly when Russ goes in there and opening drive, he goes 5 for 5 for 70 yards and a tutty, and we'll be like, where was this?
I won't feel silly. I won't feel silly. I'll feel aroused. Borderline.
Aroused?
Borderline hard.
A little bricked up.
And now it's time. It's week 1. We're here. Season's finally here. Expectations are high-ish. Season's here. We don't want to see the Chiefs win another Super Bowl, but we're focusing on the Steelers right now. And now it's time to bring back your favorite segment. Chris, hit him with it.
Keys to the game.
Man, feels good to be back. Feels good to
Been a
be
while.
back. What's those keys to the game, Chris?
Well, Dom, I'm glad you asked. Well, first key to the game is the ground pound, baby. That's what we need, and that's what
Absolutely.
we're going to do. As Dom has mentioned before, if there's a strong suit to the Atlanta defense, it is their defensive backfield. Go ahead and give us some names in that backfield, Dom.
And at the like the Falcons defense?
Atlanta's, yep.
Okay, so they have Grady Jarrett, who is 31, but can still play. And then David Oymayata, don't know who that is. Zach Harrison, hey Kenna, don't know who that is.
But Dom, I'm talking about the defensive backs here, not the whole defense.
Oh, not the line?
No.
I just learned football today. Who knows? The defensive backs, I mean, that's the best part of the defense. You got AJ Terrell. You got Mike Hughes on the other side. Not as good, but it's fine. And then Jesse Bates III, great safety, and Justin Simmons, another great safety.
We are looking at some all-pro players on that defensive backfield, which obviously receivers we had talked about we got George Pickens, and then it's a bunch of question marks. So we have no idea how we're going to do. That's why I believe we got to run it down their throat with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. Who knows? Maybe even throwing in a little bit of reverses in there or something else with Cordero Patterson. You know, so I think running the ball.
Game?
Ooh.
Arthur Smith revenge
Who
game?
knows?
Cordell revenge game? McCoy Pruitt revenge game? Was he a Falcons? I don't know.
So yes, ground pound, biggest key to the game for me. Another key to the game is the positional battle. Something that the Steelers failed a lot in last year with Presley Harvin, the third. You see, Cameron Johnston.
Unemployed.
Yeah, the Cameron Johnston are maybe our best free agency pickup during the offseason was the sole bright spot to this preseason, averaging 117 yards per punt with an air time of 36 seconds. It is honestly insane.
It's crazy. It's unheard of, really.
Realistically, I feel like even if we have drives that stall out, you know, we don't really make it far down the field, at least his kicks will give our defense some space to work with and really establish our, yet again, bend but not break defense. Years and years go by where we maybe let up 1 billion yards, but damn it, they'll still only end up with like 9 final points because we are a bend but not break. So the positional battle is another key to the game. And then lastly, utilizing these question marks. We all know George Pickens is good, you know, but I have a good feeling that he is going to be locked up down the field. Now, granted, throw him the ball still because he's probably going to catch it in anything contested, but it sounds like Roman Wilson will most likely be active for Sunday. You know, Calvin Austin is going to be playing a role. Van Jefferson, we need these guys to get hot and active. Maybe a little crossing routes, some short little slants, you know, so just something over the middle of the field. And again, the bigger question marks to me are how involved we can get our tight ends, into this game, relying on the middle of the field, something that we lacked big time, especially with those defensive backs being so strong. You know, we need that middle of the field big time. You know, the outsides are going to be contained. Middle of the field should be wide open depending on, you know, the safeties and linebackers that are covering. So attack the middle of the field, get the ball to other players. Those are my keys to the game. Dom, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that's well said. I guess the thing I'll add is let's go. Something I like to do is like to go kind of in depth on the opponent's depth chart, if that's something you care about. Just kind of see how the matchups line up, right? And we talked about not knowing how the offense is going to play because it's brand new stuff. It's a brand new players, brand new quarterback, brand new offensive coordinator. It's potentially 6 new players on the entire Falcons team, sorry, on the entire Steelers starting lineup for the offense. So we've talked about we don't know how they're going to do, but we always know the defense is supposed to be good, but we're actually maybe not sure how the defense is supposed to do because we didn't get to see TJ Watt in the preseason. Obviously, don't want to see them in the preseason at all. We didn't see Minka Fitzpatrick do a lot there. Joey Porter and Dante Jackson, how are they going to mesh well together? When you put TJ and Highsmith and Cam back on the field, how does that work against the pass defense? How does that help against the run defense? How Keanu Benton's going to step up this year. Larry O, I think, is healthy. He's going to be better. Patrick Queen full-time. Potentially Peyton Wilson being in there. How are those players going to step up in what's that defense going to look like? And I think it's going to be a good battle because with the Falcons, they have Kirk Cousins. I mean, coming back from Achilles injury, but it is big Kirk O'Chains. We know him well here in Minnesota. Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, kind of a tandem running back system back to back. You have Drake London as our starting receiver going against GPJ mostly. Darnell Mooney against Dante Jackson. And good old Ray McLeod III, Steelers legend, in the slot. Kyle Pitts, who's pretty much underperformed his entire career, but now finally has a good quarterback, could be dangerous. And as well as a pretty decent line in Jake Matthews, Matthew Bergeron, Drew Dahlman, who I don't know as a center, but Chris Lindstrom. And that's, and what's that name? Caleb McGarry. But 3 names I know, which tells me they're probably pretty decent. So that's a good matchup against the defense. I think Kirk's going to get his shots in. I think Kirk's going to be able to throw some good passes here and there. But it also just takes a couple good hits from TJ and company to maybe rattle him up a little bit and maybe throw him off his game. I mean, it's his first one back. Week 1's weird. You never know what's going to happen. So I do think this game's going to be really close, and I think the offensive defense battle is probably going to be the most exciting thing to watch, or at least the closest contending thing to watch in that regard. On the opposite side, with the whole brand new starting offense for the Steelers, the Falcons' defense, besides the secondary that we just named, isn't really that great up front. That's why Chris mentioned the running backs. That's why Chris mentioned the running game. So having Grady Jarrett, who's a 31-year-old lineman, but he still got some kick in him. But then you have David Oyamata. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. Zach Harrison. Don't know who that is. Traded from Matthew Judon. That's good. But it's going to go against some linemen, so they will be tested. You got Caden Ellis at linebacker. Not sure that it is. Troy Anderson at linebacker. Don't know. Arnold Ebikidi. I'm not sure who that is. So Chris was talking about attacking the middle of the field. That's a huge reason right there to attack the middle of the field. Linebackers are just non-existent to me. I know the front seven's not really that good, but Matthew Judon and Grady Jarrett going against some rookie linemen because Isaac Seumalo got hurt. I know we didn't talk about that. And it sounds like even though Chris loves Mason McCormick and the SDSU boys, and so do I love Mason McCormick, we have potentially Spencer Anderson starting the game is what we're hearing from Tomlin's press conference today. So Spencer Anderson, potentially Troy Fautanu or Broderick Jones starting on the right tackle, which didn't go that well. And Zach Frazier, who played well at the line. I mean, that's a little more dangerous than we thought it was going to be. But like Chris said, or what I just discussed, the secondary for the Falcons is the big thing for the defense. AJ Terrell, Justin Simmons, Jesse Bates, Mike Hughes, even the backups. Richie Grant is a very solid, strong safety. Clark Phillips III is someone who we looked at as a backup cornerback. They have, and D. Alford as the nickelback too. I mean, they have the players in the secondary to be dangerous, to make it tough for the passing game. As much as we'd all like for the quarterback to pop off here, I'm not going to expect it. I'll hope for it, but I'm not going to expect it. Like Chris said, I think it's going to be a ground pound game. I think you got to play the Arthur Smith game. You got to run the ball, play action passes, balls over the middle to the tight ends. I need Pat to have a big game. I need Darnell to catch a pass or two. And that's going to be a big for the offense to score some points on this defense that was worse about a month and a half ago. And now they've gotten some players to make them look a little bit better.
Amen. Well said. Well said.
So I'm going to go I guess we'll go to the picks right now, Chris. I was going to say like a win or loss, but that's part of the picks, man. That's why we do the whole picks of things. So we're going to do the picks real quick. Get out of here. I know you guys are excited to watch from football. We got football Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, and Monday. My God, it's crazy. So let's get the picks.
Back,
let's get out of here. I know you. I thank you for listening to Northern Steel, and thank you for listening before the Steelers game. And we'll be back next week. You know how it goes. Talk about the game. Try to be a little more positive this year, even if they start to suck. We're back at it. All right, Chris, you ready for the picks?
I've been drum rolling.
Okay, drum roll, commence or cease. Words are tough. First game, Ravens against Super Bowl champion Chiefs.
Now, a lot of people think there's an obvious answer to this.
No, I don't.
And a lot of people think there's an obvious answer to this.
Sure, yeah.
And I think a lot of people think, oh, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. They're the Super Bowl champions. They're obviously going to win. Well, I think that's wrong. In fact, as much as I don't want the Ravens to win, I'm picking them week 1 over the defending Super Bowl champions.
Week 1's a weird week. It's hard to pick winners. There's not really a clear-cut thing. Every team's still trying to figure themselves out. I'm going to pick Chiefs just because F Ravens. But that's the only reason I have. True. That's the only reason I'm picking the Chiefs. Next game, Friday in Brazil. Cannot wear the color green or you will be murdered on sight. It is the Packers, a green team, versus the Eagles, a green team.
Well, it's not really a home field advantage for anybody.
Nope.
But I don't think the Packers and or Jordan Love are as good as people think. So, as of right now, I'm going to go with the Eagles.
I disagree. I think Jordan Love is good. I don't think he's worth top dollar on the new contract, but I do think he is good.
You have him on your fantasy.
I think the Packers... No. I think the Packers are a really solid team with a solid defense, and he's able to pass the ball around a lot. I think the Eagles have a fake good defense. They have a lot of good players that look good on paper, and they don't play well, but I am also picking the Eagles.
Full disclosure, Dom is in a fantasy league where you have to bet on players, and he had a cap of $200, and he bet $190 on Jordan Love, just so everyone is aware of that.
But I did bet $120 on Tyreek and CeeDee Lamb. I have both of them.
Well invested. Next.
Yeah. Next up is Panthers at Saints.
Saints just because home field. Otherwise, they're two horrible teams.
This is my week upset of the week, and I'm picking Panthers.
Wow, what an upset.
I know. That's what I said, a week upset. But I'm putting more stock in that Bryce Young has a better season. And I feel like the Saints, they're just like crumbling, man. I don't know. I don't know what to think about the Saints. We got Vikings at Giants.
Vikings, because Danny Dimes sucks.
Well, it's a big quarterback battle, Chris. Sam Darnold against Daniel Jones. I mean, talk about Peyton Manning against Tom Brady, you know what I mean? But I'm also going to go with the Vikings because unfortunately, Viking fans, if you are listening because we're from Minnesota, I am not going to pick you to win many games after this. So I'm going to give the Vikings this one, and that's going to be it for a while.
Sorry.
Unfortunately. Patriots at Bengals.
Bengals. I think a lot of people are doubting the Bengals because of how they did last year. And obviously, Joe Burrow was hurt or playing hurt for majority of that year. So I think he's going to come back strong. I think the Bengals are going to look pretty dang good, which sucks. And Patriots are like yep. So Bengals it is.
Here's the thing. I actually don't think the Bengals are going to be that good. I do think Joe Burrow probably comes back to form, but he has shown that his shoulder still hurts. I do think he probably still isn't pain. He always starts off the season slow. So I would definitely take a Bengals loss here. I am picking the Bengals. I also don't think the Bengals defense is as good as previous years because they keep losing players on that defense. But I am going to pick the Bengals. I think if Drake May was starting for the Patriots, maybe you change your mind. Just kidding, you wouldn't. But with Jacoby Brissett on the Patriots, I'm still picking the Bengals. Next up, Steelers against Falcons.
Steelers. You don't even have to tell me the other team, even though I know it's the Falcons. Go Steelers all the way.
Yeah, I'm picking Steelers. I do think realistically, it's going to be very, very close. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. And I would love, but what game is it for the Steelers? You know?
That's true.
what Steelers game isn't? What Steelers game doesn't go down to the wire and make you want to poop yourself the entire time?
This one, new season.
Could be 42-10. Steelers win. Let's go. Texans at Colts.
Texans.
Yeah, I'm going Texans. Texans are going to be a powerhouse. Anthony Richardson, I don't have a lot of faith in, even though a lot of people do. Hot take. I don't know if it'll be that good. Cardinals at Bills.
Bills.
Yeah, going Bills. I do think an upset could be
This
here,
could
Chris.
be an upset. This could be an upset.
Week one's a weird time. Week one's a super weird time. An upset could be right here, but I'm going to go Bills as well. Because Bills, they just don't have any receivers. I'm interested to see who they're going to throw the ball to. Dalton Kincaid and Khalil Shakir season. That's who they're going to throw the ball to.
That's it.
Then you got Titans at Bears.
Bears, but Titans could be a sneaky good team. I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to do this year, but there's a lot of Caleb Williams hype, and I think they're going to win this first game. Plus, they have the easiest schedule on God's green earth, so expect a lot of dick riding. But here it comes. Matt Eberflus, Coach of the Year odds are like number one. So
it's insane. He's so bad too. I don't understand that. I agree with you though. The Titans have like a revamped team, a revamped defense, a revamped kind of offense. I think they could be surprisingly. They're kind of those teams that's in like in the shadows. They could potentially be better than what you think they'd be. I kind of think about the Titans and I think they're going to suck. And then look at the roster. I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe they might be all right. You never know. Yeah. I'm also gonna go Bears though. But if the Titans won that game, I don't know if I'd be shocked. I guess there's a lot of new pieces in Chicago. They could lose, but I'm gonna go Bears as well. Next is Jaguars at Dolphins. Good game.
I'm gonna have to go with Dolphins.
I'm as well. I mean, not much to say about it. Just two good teams. Well, hopefully the Jaguars are better than they normally are, but two solid teams. I'm gonna go with Dolphins. You got Broncos at Seahawks.
This could be a toss-up. I mean, Bo Nix apparently was playing out of his mind, according to Denver fans, which that says a lot. So I'm going to go Seattle.
Yeah, I'm on Denver's ass this season, and when it's against Denver, it's on site. But for right now, I'm also going Seattle because that's the reason. Because Denver sucks. I don't like their fans. They're bashing on Russ because I know they're butthurt from what he did. But we have Russ for $1 million. It's not a big deal. They're still paying him $38 million, but they're bashing Russ. They're also the main reason why we didn't get Brandon Ayuk. So it's F Denver until I die, baby.
Hey.
Next up is Raiders at Chargers.
I'm going to go with the Chargers. They really still don't have any receivers, but I don't know. Raiders are just unproven.
I think the Raiders win this game, but I'm picking the Chargers to manifest my delusion of Devontae Adams being traded to Steelers, and the Raiders need to lose games. So I'm picking the Chargers.
Go Bolts.
Next is Cowboys at Browns.
Cowboys. F the Browns. F you, Nick Carnes. I hate you.
I mean, yeah, dude, I agree. I unfortunately think the Browns win this game, but I'm also picking the Cowboys because my hatred and pettiness is too strong. So I'm picking the Cowboys, but I think the Browns could win this game. But I'd love for them to get smoked. That'd be awesome. Next up is Commanders at Buccaneers.
Honestly, it could be a toss-up, but I have faith in Jane Daniels, and I'm going to say Commanders are winning this one.
That's great. I don't, so I'm going to say Buccaneers. Up next is Rams at Lions.
Lions all the way. Even though Rams, I think, are going to be a little better than what they were last year, I'm going to go Lions.
That's funny you say that because, you know what? Just for fun, Chris, that's funny you said that Rams are going to be a little bit better than last year.
We don't have to go over their roster.
No, I'm not. No, it's not the whole thing, but can I point something out to you, Chris?
Sure.
The Rams depth chart.
I guess.
Rams depth chart, okay? On defense.
Yeah, something about middle linebacker. They have Christian Roseboom, dude, the best linebacker in the league. I already know.
They don't have, dude. They have nobody. They have
Christian
nobody.
Roseboom.
They got Tre'Davious White.
All they need.
They got Braden Fiskey, who I did love.
Look, I already
And then
said
Jared
Lions.
Verse.
What more do you want from me?
Nothing. I'm just saying that, like, I don't think the Rams are going to be that good. I think offensively they're going to be good, but defensively, I think they're smoked all the time. But you never know. You never know. They could be good. You know, it's week 1. It's crazy. I'm going to go Lions. No, don't do it. don't. I did this.
No. Not
Domain.
that finger crossies.
Domain expansion. Let's do Jets at Niners.
Here's
Finish it
my
off.
upset pick of the week.
No, it's not.
J-E-T.
No, it's
Jets,
not.
Jets.
Are
Aaron
you
Rodgers
actually-
coming back.
Are you actually?
Heck yeah, I am. Doing it for the
Dude.
pod, baby.
The same guy who tore Aaron Rodgers' Achilles last year on Buffalo plays for the Niners now. And it's a Monday night game. Time to tear his Achilles again. I hope it doesn't, actually, but I like to see Aaron Rodgers play to see what happens this year for the Jets. But I want to go Niners. They just got Brandon Ayuk back. They got McCaffrey back. They got Trent Williams. All momentum's on their side. I'm going to go. Also, Aaron Rodgers sucks against the Niners historically. So I'm going to go 49ers. Hey.
As
Don't
a
sue me.
Green Bay Packer.
Yeah, now he's a Green Gang Jet. You like that? Clever,
I
huh?
like it. Let's end this
Anyways,
podcast.
thanks for listening to the Northern Steel Podcast. I'm Dominic. This is Chris. You can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, on
Mm-hmm.
my Club Penguin, and on Disney 365. Chris, any words for the people?
Go Steelers.
Go Steelers, indeed. We'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.